Hiya! In this film I'm going to take a look at portrait lighting and lighting patterns. These patterns are quite fundamental to portrait photography and they're a good first step in understanding portrait lighting. I'm going to talk about the 5 most common types of lighting patterns and their characteristics and when to use them and when not to use them. Now, when you use just one main light, generally referred to as the key light, it's going to throw a shadow over part of your subject's face, and those shadows will form a lighting pattern. And it's those lighting patterns that I'm going to talk about. In order for you to see exactly how the lighting pattern shows itself, I'm going to use 2 models and with different lighting setups. First of all, I'll use this mannequin head as my model. Okay, I admit she is a bit creepy looking, but at least she doesn't nag me to do the washing up or to take the bins out. So I'll be using her along with a small unmodified video light, and that will produce hard shadows on her little face, so you'll be able to see the light patterns very clearly. I also have the lovely Carla to model for me. I'll take some off-camera flash shots through a small softbox to show how the lighting pattern would look with a softer light in a real life scenario. Now I'll use a smallish softbox because I still want you to clearly see the light pattern. If I used a really large one, the light would be even softer and the pattern harder to see. By the way, you may have noticed that Cara has a distinctive facial appearance. That's because she has something called vascular Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It's a genetic disorder and she's going to talk about it at the very end of the video. So let's get started. Bear in mind that the video light is a small light source which not only creates hard shadows but also creates specular highlights, that is shiny bits on people's foreheads, cheeks and nose. I'll start off with flat lighting. Now that's where the light is coming from directly in front of the subject. It produces quite a flattering light because there's no shadows, and it's really the shadows on a person's face that shows up the skin texture, the pores, the wrinkles and so on. So because there's no shadows, those facial features don't show so much. I almost said facial imperfections, but they're not really. We all have them, but only some more than others. So here's how it looks with the video light directly in front and just above the model's eye line. And here's how it looks from the side. So now using the softbox positioned directly in front but also slightly raised above Carla's eye line. As you can see, that looks a whole lot better as the light is softer. Plus of course Carla is much better looking than my mannequin. Having a shadowless light is quite often used for fashion or for the front covers of women's magazines, etc. Generally speaking, the light from the front will be accompanied by a reflector, usually underneath or even at the sides, just to brighten the eyes and to remove any small shadows on the side of the face and neck. It's generally referred to as beauty or glamour lighting and is very flattering. However, it's not a dramatic type of light, but it's great for headshots. Anyway, moving on to the next pattern. Butterfly lighting is when the light comes from directly in front but much higher up. It's called butterfly lighting due to the small butterfly shaped shadow that appears under the nose. It's also known as Paramount lighting. Yeah, the Hollywood film studio, that Paramount. Apparently they used it for years when doing their film star or celebrity headshots. So here's how it looks with the video light and also from the side. It's a very flattering type of light, especially when used with a reflector underneath to create a clamshell type lighting. So it's quite similar to flat light that we started off with, but it does create just a little bit more shadow, and when used properly and with the right subject, it accentuates high cheekbones, so probably more of a feminine light pattern. As I say, the light has to be high and directly in front of the face, but be careful if your subject has deep eye sockets or maybe wearing false eyelashes, as then there may not be sufficient light in her eyes. Moving on to the next light pattern, if I move the light around to say around 30 degrees, I've now created more shadow on the other side of the face. Plus there's a small shadow under the nose which goes to the side. This is called loop lighting, and it's a very popular lighting pattern because it's still very flattering, but it creates a little more shadow and drama on the face, which gives the face a slightly more sculptured look with more depth. It still covers most of the face with light, but because the light is more directional, you get more of a shadow under the nose and on the other cheek. The important thing to note is that the cheek shadow and the nose shadow shouldn't meet up. So here's how it looks from the side with the video light. And here's the loop lighting taken of Carla with the softbox. You can see why this is a popular way of lighting a portrait. Flattering, but with a bit more oomph. That's a technical term. Oh, and one last thing. Some people do prefer to be photographed from one side of the face or the other, so loop lighting can be used to light the preferred side. Taking the light even further around, you can see that even more of the face is now in shadow, and the nose shadow has joined up with the cheek shadow. This is called Rembrandt lighting, named after the famous painter. He used skylights and high-up windows to create this very lighting pattern. It's easily recognisable because of the triangular highlight that appears under the far eye. He also used it for some of his self-portraits, and you can easily see the small triangle of light under his eye. Here's what it looks like from the side. And again, here's the Rembrandt pattern using the softbox. It's quite a dramatic light pattern, and so use with caution, because for close-up headshots it's not particularly flattering. In fact, it's not often used for beauty. Instead, it's used for more drama and to make portraits look more kind of edgy, more creative. However, it will accentuate wrinkles, blemishes and bags under the eyes, so avoid using it for, say, more mature men and women who want to be flattered. Great though for creating a powerful, low-light, black and white image of, say, a crinkly, grizzled old man with a lived-in face. If I now move the light further around, so the light is completely on one side of the face, I end up with split lighting. So the face is completely divided at the nose, one half in shadow and one half is lit. If Rembrandt lighting was quite dramatic, then split lighting is even more so. It's rarely used for portraits except to create a special effect. It's also used quite often for athletes, say, or boxers with rippling muscles and six-packs, much like my own body. And it shows off those rippling muscles. Sadly, I only have a one-pack. Let's take a look at all of them again at the same time. Flat lighting, butterfly, loop lighting, Rembrandt and split. And as you can see, as we go from flat lighting to split lighting, the light becomes less flattering and increasingly more dramatic. There's a couple of other important types of lighting styles that are not really light patterns, and they're generally used in conjunction with loop and Rembrandt lighting, where the face is turned slightly off-centre. The first is called broad lighting, and it's when the side of the subject's face nearest the camera is the side that's being lit. This produces a large area of light on the face and a smaller shadow side. Broader lighting makes a person's face look broader or wider, hence the term, and can be used on someone with a very slim face to widen it. Most people, though, want to look slimmer, don't they? Not wider. So broad lighting is not great for someone who is heavier or round-faced. Short lighting is the opposite of broad lighting, where the side of the face nearest the camera is the side in shadow. I use short lighting nearly all the time, as it puts more of the face in shadow, it's more sculpting, adds 3D type qualities, and is slimming and flattering for most people. I don't really like the way broad lighting looks with the whole side of the face lit up, but it's subjective. So you'll notice throughout this course that in nearly every case where it's relevant, my subject is looking towards the light instead of away from it in order to create short lighting. Before I leave you, let's have a quick word from Carla.
So I have a rare genetic disorder called vascular Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and it is life-threatening, but it causes a lot of us to have the unusual face, big eyes, little chin, translucent skin, and it is rare, but it seems to be coming out a lot more lately. So that's just a quick brief of what it is, and it causes bruising and bleeding and stuff.
Okay, so that's about it for portrait lighting patterns. I hope you found it useful. Thanks very much, Carla, for being a great model. See you in the next video. Bye for now.